emeritus, I think, or something like that. A veteran.
Yeah.
That,
There's been a lot of them over the last 20 years or so.
oh yeah.
But now it's a whole different ballgame.
Right.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm sorry to cut you guys off, but we
No.
are going to get started here. We're going to start with just a couple introductions from each of our candidates here. And
How long do we have?
I will give you each a minute and a half.
Minute and a half, and
Yeah.
you're gonna keep track and
Yep.
give us a timer and that sort of thing?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll let you know.
All right.
Whenever you're ready, Orlando.
All right, so it's Orlando, it's all
My
O's. First name is Orlondo, last name is Avion, it's A-V as in Victor, I-O-N, as in November. And I am from Colorado. I was born in Sterling, Colorado, if you know where that's at. It's in the northeast part of town, or part of the state. So my father was a helicopter pilot with the Army. We came through Colorado Springs quite a bit. He was out of Fort Carson, and I ended up growing up in like security and that area. I went to S.A. Wilson when that was still an elementary school. I went to Sproul when it was a junior high, I think. Went to Whitefield High School. Went to the Air Force Academy for a year, found out that wasn't for me. Then I went to CU Boulder, had way too much fun. And eventually went to UCCS and got my engineering degree there. But I've lived here in Colorado Springs now, this last stint, it's been about 30 years. And so, you know, I'm not a politician, I'm an engineer, but what I'm interested in doing is basically moving us forward, getting us into the 21st century, trying to come up with solutions. And the things that I'm interested in trying to get into the system is ranked choice voting, multi-member districts, and proportional voting power. If we had had ranked choice voting in the last two challenges that we had as the mayor, we would have saved.
I'll let you finish the sentence.
Oh, I thought you were going to give me like some, like, you're almost done.
Sorry.
Okay,
I'll let
so
you
let me
finish
just,
the sentence,
let me finish. So we would have saved $1 million. And so I'm trying to get so that we have that money for the people that are, you know, in the city.
Thank you very much,
All right.
River. Whenever you're ready.
Sure. All right, everyone. My name is River Gasson. I'm actually from Littleton, Colorado, so that's a suburb on the southwest side of Denver. Does everyone know where that is? Vaguely? Excellent. So I am from very hard-working middle-class parents. My mother is actually a preschool teacher. She works at Heritage Elementary, which is in the Cherry Creek School District. And my dad is a pharmacist inspector. They moved out here to Denver shortly before I was born, and I have been in Colorado essentially my entire life. I have always been raised with the idea that you should really like education. In other words, my mom has always encouraged the pursuit of knowledge into my life, and so that has stuck with me. I've spent my entire life learning. I have been a researcher. I've worked at the NASA Glenn Research Center. I've worked at the Space Foundation, and I work for BioFrontiers at UCCS. I also teach. I teach astronomy and solar energy science. A large part of why I'm running is because the planet's on fire, not to be overdramatic, but I do see what's at stake with our planet, and I do believe we need scientists in the House of Representatives right now. I also feel that a good portion of our representatives, the Republicans, not to offend them, don't really know how women's bodies work, and so I feel like we need a woman in there as well. More women in there. Let's see, how much time do I have?
5 seconds.
All right, I time out perfectly.
Good time. Good time. Thank you. And when you're ready, Adam.
All right, hello everyone. My name is Adam Gillard. I'm originally from Bay City, Michigan. It's a small port town that kind of leads up to Lake Huron. It's a blue-collar town. You can't throw a rock without hitting a UAW worker. My dad was in the Carpenters Union, and that was kind of my path for my life. My last 2 years of high school, I was taking trade schools to be in the electrical union. Then the world changed, and September 11th happened, and I joined the military, and I traveled the world for the next 20 years. While I was in the military, I went in as a calibration technician, so I was working in a laboratory, working with physics and electronics and things like that. I hope that wasn't your knees, was it?
Give me about 5 years.
Yeah. And then after I did that, I transitioned into the nuclear enterprise, where I was building command and control facilities for our survivable communication systems for our national leaders. So I got a big experience with doctrine of our adversaries and things like that. After I did that for a while, I moved up here in 2015 to a defensive space control, where we monitor SATCOM signals, find where it's coming from, and send assets over the top. Did that during my last deployment. I was sitting in quarantine during January 6th. I was waiting to go down range, and I sat there and watched my nation get attacked again. And so that's why I'm here now. I finished up my deployment there, took care of my people, and then decided to come here and keep serving. I've been a public servant for my whole life, and that's what I want to keep doing. So that's what I'm here to do.
Thank you, Adam. Now I have one question before I open it up to the audience. It should be a pretty easy one for you all, and we'll start on the other side this time, so you'll go again, Adam. I'll give you 2 minutes. Why are you running for office today? Why Congress?
Why Congress? So being in the military, I've had a lot of exposure at the national level dealing with command level leaders that are making decisions. And when you're at that level, sitting in the operations center, you learn what's important. You learn how to take care of people, and that's always the most important thing. Before we can do any mission, we have to take care of people, and we have to take care of building our infrastructure up so that everybody can get to where they need to be. The jobs, locations don't change. We need to get people to the jobs. So we need major infrastructure here. We boomed in the last 20 years, and we have not kept up. And we're going to keep booming, and we need to start planning ahead for that. So I want to bring in infrastructure that's going to bring a high or a mass transit rail system in, and start having these big term visions in order to move us into the 21st century, because we're not even in the 21st century with our infrastructure here yet. So that's what I want to do, and that's why I'm running, is in order to bring that infrastructure, bring accountability that I bring from in the military back to Colorado Springs and Paso County.
Thank you, Adam. River, whenever you are ready.
All right.
Same question.
Well, I'm running for Congress because I believe the House of Representatives should be representing of different career backgrounds. I don't think it should be a career politician place. And I believe that we need more, as I mentioned earlier, we need more scientists and we need more women in the House of Representatives. We also just need someone with a technology background in there. As we move into this digital era with quantum computing and AI, I think it is imperative that we have regulation there. Especially since if you have a population that has access to this technology and populations that don't, you have growing economic disparity. Not only that, but you have portions that have more power over everyone else. So we need to protect our privacy, and we need to regulate technology and also make sure everyone has access to it and expand that technological advancement into all communities. I also am running because we need to take care of climate change. I'm running on a renewable energy platform primarily, and also on women's rights and access to abortion, because abortion is a form of health care, and I feel that health care is a human right. Yep.
Thank you, River. And Orlando, whenever you're ready.
Orlando.
Orlando, my
Yeah,
fault.
that's all right. Takes a little while for everybody to get used to it. Even when you're doing spell check, it usually tries to change it to an A. You try and you email me, you're going to be, getting it to the wrong person. Let me see. So, running for Congress. All right. So, like I was saying before, ranked choice voting. So that's one thing. Another thing is multi-member districts. And that essentially would be tied with proportional voting power. I think the system that we're living with right now is broken. I think we've got to be able to fix that in order to get a lot of things done that we're hoping to get done. I think what has happened is we've been kind of forced into two camps, and so we're basically, choosing between red or blue. And so with being able to get ranked choice voting, multi-member districts, and proportional voting power, we'll be able to have not just two parties, but three. I think that would be helpful. Also, we would stop having to argue over drawing lines, gerrymandering, if you're familiar with that. So I think I was talking to John and I think River also about, I think it's Mississippi or Alabama, that they have, not basically listened to the Supreme Court and drawing lines. So if we were to get multi-member districts, that gerrymandering would be a thing of the past. Having runoffs would be a thing of the past. So those are the things that I'm interested in getting instituted into the system that we work with. That and, I am a big proponent of America. I think we are purple, essentially. We're not just red, blue. I think we agree a lot more than we disagree. I think right now, what we agree in is being able to work together and get things done. So that's what I'm running for.
Thank you very much, Rolando.
Uh-huh.
Now, before I continue to ask them whatever comes to my mind, can we get a question from the crowd at all? Then go for it.
So when you say multi-member districts, you talking multi-member congressional representation?
Yes.
Doesn't that require a constitutional amendment?
No, it does not. If you look at the Constitution, it doesn't say anything about that at all.
Can we have a definition, just to explain?
Yeah.
Okay, so, and I'm just gonna use very simple terms, because even myself, I'm a little challenged that way. So, let's just imagine, for Colorado, you have, I think, 5 congressional districts, yes?
7.
8?
Eight.
Okay, 8. So, let's take 8, and we would make 3 of them one district, 3 of them another district, and 2 of them another district. You don't change any lines, the lines are all the same. What you do is you just combine 3 into 1. And so you then still have 3 representatives in one multi-member district. And then you do the same thing with 3, and you don't do any changes of lines, because that's one of the pushbacks is you start changing lines. It's like, no, you just take it and you combine them into one multi-member district. And so now, instead of having one person who represents everybody in that district, you have 3 people that you can go to. The thing that also fixes is first to the post, and you get actual representation, because if you know now, if you have one person who's representing everybody else, sometimes 50% of the people in that district don't get any representation at all, period. And so now you have another person that you could say, okay, I'm going to go over here and talk to this person because maybe they'll represent me, and this other person isn't representing me at all, and they're just kind of saying, well, I've won, I'm just going to do whatever I want and move forward. And when you get multi-member districts, that's what you're able to do. You're able to say, I don't have just one choice. I've got 2 choices, 3 choices, whatever.
3 choices.
Yeah, whatever you want. And so then you actually get representation. And
Can I get a question for one of our
Oh,
other
sorry.
candidates or more broad for all 3? No, you're all good. I appreciate the
you gotta give me
Go
some
for it,
sort of
Tina.
like 10 seconds, 1
I'll
second.
just come back to the shoulder and let you know.
Thank
You know,
you.
in order to win the seat, you're gonna have to have the votes of independents and maybe even some Republicans. So I'd like to hear from all of you. Let someone else start. But how are you going to convince independents to vote for you?
And River will give you first dibs on that one since they each went first last.
Sounds good. Well, the growing population of El Paso County is increasingly young, and a lot of those young people are unaffiliated. I feel I represent that portion of the population pretty well, to put it lightly. The unaffiliated voters, they need to be reached out to. And reaching them is going to be a challenge, to be honest. It's going to take a lot of work, it's going to take a lot of door knocking, and I feel like applying to unaffiliated voters is just simply going to be a conversation. It's going to require education. And the more educated voters are, the more educated people are, the more likely they are to vote. And so it's just going to be a matter of getting that information out there, especially to younger voters. Does that answer your question?
What am I doing? Yeah.
What's up?
What information?
Well, young people tend to prefer digital information. So social media is one way to get the information out there to voters.
Thank you, River. Adam, whenever you're ready.
So the way that I would reach out to independents or unaffiliated, we'll get to that.
Okay, first of all, what grade were you in?
I was in the Air Force.
Okay, sorry. Okay, wait.
So, getting to those unaffiliateds, I think we need to, River's absolutely right, we need to get into their communities and talk to them, right? And then we need to challenge them. And we need to tell them, your values are this, your representative officials are doing this. They're not supporting the PAC deck, they're not supporting infrastructure, they're not supporting microchips. So either your values need to change or your representative needs to change. What do you want to do with that? You know, and I don't like changing my values. I'll change my representative.
Thank you, Adam. Orlando?
Yeah, I think for me, it's, again, just, I think of myself as purple. You know, I'm not trying to, stay in the 20th century and kind of say, I'm blue or I'm red. You know, I'm trying to say, let's move forward. Let's do something that where we actually can work together and get things done. I think we've gotten into that situation where, yes, we're red or we're blue, and we're kind of being drawn into those whatever areas, and we're not able to work together in order to get things done. Because if you look as though you're like a little bit red, or you look like you're a little bit blue, then you know you're not able to get things done, because then you're kind of represented as somebody who's not sticking to a blue value or a red value. And I think that's working against us. I think we need to be able to work together. And so I think as Americans, as people that are have values that are very similar to each other, when you look at it, if you look at the polls, you can see that a lot of values that we have are very similar. And so that's what I would do. I would try and say, you know, I'm not trying to be blue, I'm not trying to be red, I'm trying to be somebody who's American, who's able to cross those aisles and work with somebody in order to get things done. That's what I'm trying to do, is get things done. And yes, go ahead. Or go ahead.
Thank you, Orlando.
Oh.
Yes, sir.
For too often, Democrats have been too nice when they've opposed Lamborn and Heffley, and they've gotten slaughtered every time.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only way you can beat them in this community is to go after them with a crowbar and blowtorch. You have to be aggressive.
Lamborn's no longer on the ballot, sir.
Pardon me?
Lamborn retired.
I know, but whoever is going to replace him,
Right.
you have to be aggressive to go against them, otherwise you're going to get slaughtered.
Right.
What kind of plan do you have to actually take the fight to them?
Adam, you can take that one first. And I'm going to limit our responses to about a minute.
Minutes.
I'll let you finish your sentence, of course, but just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
My timer will be right here if you want an update.
Can you give
Okay.
me like a bird call or something?
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely.
Wave your hands and go to
Give you a nice whenever you're ready, Adam.
All right. So I think there's a big difference between being aggressive with them and being assertive. You can stand up to somebody and not be aggressive, but let them know that you're not going to put up with their crap. Once they start coming in with anything with hatred or violence, the conversation's over and you just finish it. I'm not going to retaliate, and I'm not going to be mean just to be mean or be aggressive, but I am assertive and I get what I need said, and then we move on. That's how I would handle it. Being like, I've had generals throw phones at me because I told them something they don't like. You dodge and you stand there. That's how you handle them.
Thank you, Adam. And we will let you take this one.
Oh, okay.
I'm last.
Well, you can go if
You
you
haven't
want.
last yet, so you have to. at
That's
least
fair.
once.
No, you
Okay.
Orlando, whenever you're ready.
All right. So assertive, I think, is a good word. But I think, you know, as far as you're talking about with Doug Lamborn, who basically supported somebody who supported the insurrectionists, I think that's what you've got to do, is just basically say, you know, what are our American values? Do we really support insurrectionists? And I would say no. And I think if you appeal to that, you know, whether you're red or you're blue, I think you're going to get some support. I think as long as you continue to say, you know, what are our American values? Do we want transparency? You know, do we want, you know, people to be able to get an education? Do we want to be safe in our own homes? That sort of thing. I think everyone that's young or Republican will be able to agree with that. I do think that you do have to be at least honest, yes, yeah, honest about what, you know, some of those far-right people are trying to do to America. And so I think that that's where, you know, you have to be, like you're saying, you know, maybe aggressive, maybe assertive, whatever. Yeah.
Thank you very much. River, now it is yours.
All right. While compromise is often necessary in politics, you do also have to recognize when it's time to lead. For example, let's take Obama's Medicare, for example. We had a Democratic majority. A lot of compromises were made in order to get Republicans to vote on it. Those compromises got rolled in, but then when it came to vote, the Republicans never ended up voting on it. As a result, we had a lot of compromises made into our universal healthcare system idea that ended up just not working out. And so I think we have to recognize that and realize when it's time to lead and not really compromise with the Republicans so much. I am open to compromising, but sometimes you do just have to take charge and lead and not leave them behind, so to speak, but recognize when the majority is had.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
And next question for you, I'm also,
Sorry.
go ahead.
Can you speak to the relevant experience you have to work in an institution like the U.S. Congress to achieve some of the things you've mentioned you'd like to achieve?
Can you say that again,
Your
please?
relevant experience
Mm-hmm.
to working in an environment like the Congress, political or other relevant experience to achieving some of the things you've spoken about wanting to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll have 1 minute on the clock. River, I will let you take this one first.
Okay. Well, I believe the House of Representatives should really be representing of different career backgrounds. I personally don't like the idea of going from small politics to big politics and having career politicians. If you want to go for local politics, then you go for local politics, and that's certainly very noble and can be a lot easier than federal politics. And if you want to make federal changes, then you go for federal politics, and it's a big risk, certainly. But I do believe that our politicians shouldn't necessarily have a career in politics. I don't think that's necessary. I think it does need to be representing of a variety of different people, of different ethnic groups, of different age groups, of different career backgrounds as well.
Thank you very much, River. And Adam, I will let you go.
So when I was in the nuclear enterprise, I actually ended up writing some documentation for the chairman of the, not the chairman himself, but his joint staff, for how you conduct nuclear war and things like that. So when you're writing that, it's kind of like legislation, right? This is how business is done in the nuclear enterprise. When I was writing that, I was introducing new systems into the nuclear enterprise. And there's dinosaurs inside the nuclear enterprise that do not like change, because you do not make mistakes when you're dealing with nukes, right? And I was adding new technology in, and a mistake happened. And it was a big deal. And I was standing in front, I was, at the Applied Physics Laboratory at Johns Hopkins, standing there getting my butt chewed out for this new system didn't work exactly how we wanted. And they wanted to scrap the whole thing. And I fought for it in order to keep it, because we can't go backwards. Like, once that technology was there, it helped, and it's doing great things now. This is 10 years later. It's doing great things now. But I stood there and I fought for it, and I kept it there, and that's what I'm going to do in Congress. I'm going to fight for the changes that we need.
Thank you, Adam. Orlando.
So if I understand you correctly, what you're asking is, what is our experience, right? I think if you look at me, you can see I'm near my 60s. And so I've been around. And I think, I've been in a lot of medical companies, a lot of engineering companies, and I've been able to navigate my career, I think, pretty well. So I'm happy with that. As far as, working with Congress, working with the government, yeah, I'm not experienced in that, but I think for me personally, it's about the people. It's about representation. It's about representing people. And I think that would be what I would want to do in my tenure as a representative for Colorado Springs, is represent the people. I think one of the challenges that we have right now is that the representatives don't represent the people. What they do is they kind of get into that position. How much time have I got?
Just
Oh, okay. And then they do what they want to do. And I think that's what I've been saying, is I want to be able to change the way we do things and represent the people.
Thank you, Orlando.
Uh-huh.
I think I've seen your hand up a couple of times now. Go ahead.
The three of you.
Yes.
Say you get into the Congress.
Mhm.
You defy all the odds because this is a very Republican
Mhm.
area. And then you get into Congress. How are you going to avoid the lobbyists and the PAC people and all of the onslaught you will experience from the moment you step into the Congress?
Orlando, we'll let you take that one first, and then we'll make our way down the table.
All right. So again, I'm not going to be a career politician. I mean, you can whatever quote me on that right now because I'm not interested in being a career politician. But what I am interested in doing is being able to make that change. And so I think, assuming that I get into the role, what I would do is work on the things that I've talked about, making sure that people understand what ranked choice voting is about, what multi-member districts are about, what the proportional voting power is about, and getting that word out. So, as far as lobbyists and people like that, I wouldn't be interested in hearing what they've got to say because I have my own agenda. I know what I want to do. I know, where I'm coming from. I'm not in this in order to be a career politician. So as far as that's concerned, I don't think there's any worry for me personally.
Thank you.
All right. I would say follow the money as we fundraise, because that likely is how we'll end up following the money as we're politicians. I have a grassroots funded campaign. I've accepted no PAC money. I would accept PAC money if it's a PAC that I feel like I could get behind, like I could represent, like Planned Parenthood or Cobalt or an organization that I feel like is doing good work. I would not accept money from an oil company because I don't believe what they're doing. And I don't think that money is even important into politics either. If it's not, how do I phrase this? But yeah, follow the money as we fundraise. And I think you'll see that it's going to line up nicely with exactly how we'll represent as well. I would not accept any money from any oil companies, and you can quote me on that. I will not accept any money from any corporation that I don't stand behind. Anything that I accept is something that I full-heartedly can get behind and endorse, so to speak.
Thank you, River. Adam, whenever you're ready.
When it comes to avoiding outside influence, it goes back to integrity, really, like your own personal integrity. And that's huge with me. One, Air Force core value, integrity first. You gotta live by that. And it's not just a core value that you just say once in a while. It's something that's got to be a lifestyle, and it's really got to be something that permeates everything. So every interaction that you're having with people, they need to know that you can't be wrong. They need to know that when you look them in the eye, what you tell them is the truth. And that's how I've lived my life forever. When I look at you in the eye, I'm telling you the truth. And once you have that established with people, you don't need that PAC money. People know you by your word, and you go do what you say you're going to do. I talked with a PAC back in June-ish. That's for the podcast that I was doing, and I talked to my wife afterwards. I was like, I feel dirty after that conversation. The way that they talk about our politics, the way that they just throw money and they think that they can buy nominations, it's absolute garbage. It should not happen, and it's kind of what's led us to this divide that we have, is people being able to choose who's picking who. So I would always avoid that, and I'm telling you the truth.
Thank you very much, Adam. So I have one question for you before I pass it back to you guys again. Obviously, you are all three affiliated as Democrats, otherwise you wouldn't be here right now. Can you tell me what makes you a Democrat? Why did you choose our party versus the Republicans, or running as an independent, or I don't know, green? And let's see, Adam, you're gonna go first this time.
So I grew up in a union household. We were blue collar as you get. And this is in Michigan, where if you're a union carpenter, you're not working for 6 months out of the year, So there's a lot of hard times. And we still went out and picketed Walmart when they didn't build with union workers. That is how you were raised in Michigan, is to be blue collar and take care of your family, your community, and build out. And so that's why I'm a Democrat, because I take care of people. And that's what puts me to sleep at night. That's what lets me sleep at night, is knowing that I helped somebody that day. And I don't care about corporations, I don't care about your money, I care about the people, and that's it. And that's what makes me a Democrat.
Thank you very much. And River, whenever you're ready, you have the floor.
Okay. Well, I actually came from a somewhat conservative Catholic family. They were born in Kansas. And I think I got to watch as they kind of grappled with how Catholicism really impacted their lives, especially my mother, as she kind of witnessed it impacting women, especially here in the United States. And so I think my parents, they're the type of people who voted for Bush and then also voted for Obama. They were very moderate people. They voted for Gardner and they also voted for Bennett. And I think I got to witness that. And I think as my mom and my dad kind of recovered from the fact that Catholicism wasn't exactly everything it was all cracked up to be. No disrespect to anyone who is currently religious. I think watching them be the cycle breakers encouraged me to always question everything. And when you're someone who always questions everything, when you're someone who always searches for truth, you become a Democrat.
Thank you very much, River. Well put. Go
Yes,
ahead,
well
Waldo.
put. As far as being here and being a Democrat, I think that's a very interesting question because so much has changed in the last decade as to what a Democrat is, what a Republican is. I think as far as most of the core values for Democrats, I agree with. And so I feel that that's where I start. But as I've said before, I don't want to be essentially painted into that corner. I want to be able to share values, like Adam was saying. I think with family, I think even Republicans would say the same thing, that they feel family is important, that community is important, that America, is important. And I think that's where we start to build bridges, is being able to, find our common ground.
Thank you very much. And I will open it back up to you guys. Who is our next question person? Go ahead, Bill.
So, under Trump, we went from 17th to 117th in working for the environment and trying to stop the climate disaster that is on the horizon. There's no question about that. Biden has done a lot with the IRA, and he's making very good headroads, but it's nowhere near enough. What are your plans?
IRA or
The Inflation Reduction Act, which has all the environmental legislations rolled into it, or a good deal of them.
We're going to let River start with this one, and you will be next up.
Yeah.
Okay?
No problem.
Well, young people have the most at stake when it comes to climate change, and we also have the least say in our current political system. And when it comes to climate change, it's a huge portion as to why I'm running for Congress at all. I will definitely push for renewable energy without a doubt. Solar energy specifically and nuclear energy are very effective. They're cheaper than fossil fuel even, and they're very efficient, and we cannot risk putting more carbon dioxide into our atmosphere. The next generation cannot take it. We are already at a tipping point, really, and that's why I'm running, to be honest. It's a good reason.
Thank you very much. As mentioned, whenever you're ready, good sir.
Okay. So I agree to some extent with River, but I think we're all in this together. I think it doesn't matter whether you're young or old. I think the climate crisis is real. I think it's going to affect all of us. It is affecting all of us. I think, as far as America is concerned, it's, I think, not going to be just America. I think, we've got to get everybody on board. We've got to get China. And unfortunately, we've got to do something with Russia. I mean, right now, Russia is basically trying to save themselves because they are oil rich. And, it's going to take every single country on Earth to basically agree that this is an issue and be able to make changes. The challenge, I think, is that we've got little pockets of people and communities that are basically trying to, say, I'm going to fix it here, I'm going to fix it here. It's not going to be fixed here. It's not going to be fixed there. It's got to be fixed by the world. And we've got to be able to convince people that, it is real.
Thank you very much. And Adam?
So we have a huge problem with power because America loves it and we're not giving it up. Electricity and I guess world power too. We'll get back to that. When it comes to electricity though, the only way to create the amount of power that we as a society have decided that we need to have is with turbine-driven power plants, bars, like amperage, like to push that power from where it's generated into your car battery or to wherever. The only way to generate the amount that we need is with turbine-driven power plants. That's your coal ones, natural gas, or nuclear. I would go for nuclear because we haven't built one of those since the 70s, and we have increased our technology on that, I don't know how many folds. So we need to get nuclear energy, and we still need that turbine-driven energy, because that's the only way that we can charge our cars. Until we start thinking more of, instead of just pouring concrete on the ground and using Michigan's building roads that charge your cars right now. So if we want to go to batteries and cars and things like that, we need to go from having power plants every 60 miles to every like 8 miles. Or we need to start having a bunch of little renewable things everywhere. So there's a lot more to that than just we need to do all renewables. It's a deeper conversation than that because we've decided that we need to have power.
Does anyone want to ask the next question about lithium batteries? Because that would be.
Thank you very much. Whoever would like to. I will ask.
Okay.
I hope you all have an answer. What's the deal with lithium batteries?
Lithium is very water intensive to mine. It's also very bad for our environment in a lot of ways, and it's very flammable. For those of you who don't know, lithium is how we often power rechargeable batteries. So a Tesla often uses lithium. Your laptop that is rechargeable has lithium. Your rechargeable cell phone has lithium. We need to look into alternative sources of lithium that are less water intensive. And those sources do exist. Sodium batteries exist. Hydrogen batteries exist. They have their disadvantages. Often with sodium it is weight. But the issue is that we need to stop prioritizing what's cheap and we need to fund what is actually going to help us. There we go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a similar question for the two of you. As we continue to advance in technology and we continue to need newer resources like rare earth minerals, and we continue to face problems such as the water need or the land need, how would you confront these problems for the technologies that we need when they require resources that are hard or detrimental to obtain? And I'll let you go first, and then Adam, you can follow that up.
Okay, there was a lot of questions in there.
Am I allowed to
So-
also answer this
Yes,
question?
you will get to
Okay.
answer last.
Yeah. So would you say that again, please?
Of course, as we advance into the modern day, we start to need these rare earth minerals more and more, especially ones that 90% of are mined in China, or that we need insane amounts of water for. How would you confront these difficulties in obtaining necessary resources for our advancement? And that was pretty much the question.
Well, I think that, again, is a very challenging question because, we are at the forefront right now of renewable energy. I think, like Adam was talking about nuclear, I think we are also on the brink of fusion. And so I think that would be something that if we can support that we would be able to make a huge advance in technology. The challenge there is going to be, who gets to own that? Who gets to own fusion? As far as protecting the environment, things like that, I think we've got things in place to do that. I think right now the challenge is that we don't have enough teeth. I think that we've got to give teeth to the EPA. I think what we've got is people that are basically revolving door. So people that are supposed to be like watching the oil rigs are the people that own the oil rigs. And so, we've got to remove the conflict of interest. I think that's the key moving forward is move conflicts of interest. If we could do that from so many parts of society and situations like that, we would be much better off.
Thank you very much. Would you like me to say the question again, Adam, or are you ready?
I'm just going to say something.
Go for
I'm
it.
just going to talk about something else.
Absolutely.
So one of the big, I talk with a lot of independents, Republicans, things like that, and they always complain about the cars on the road and the batteries and how it's such a horrible thing to mine the stuff. We need to understand that one, the cobalt that's in some of these batteries is a byproduct of another product, where they're taking two other elements and combining them, and we get the cobalt, and then we use that for the battery. So a lot of the cobalt that we're mining for car batteries doesn't even come from the ground; it's from a manufacturing process. So it's already a renewable, recycled source. That's important to remember because as we move into in 10, 20 years when these batteries start coming out of the cars, they're also 95% recyclable. So we can get a lot of the stuff out of those cars that are being turned in to keep reusing those. So there's just so many good things when it comes to that where we don't need to keep mining. We have a lot of material that we have already, and we're learning constantly on building more, like the bake salt batteries and things like that. And if we ever, I mean, look at our moonlight program that just got delayed because we gave up on NASA and stopped funding NASA. When we stop funding research and science, we fall behind. Like, duh. Like, we have to fund research and science to figure this stuff out and move forward.
Thank you very much, Adam.
I'll even build off directly on that. Funding of research and science is a foundation of society, really.
Yeah.
So when it comes to renewable energy, how many of you guys have heard people say, at least I heard this a lot growing up, don't worry about it, scientists will come up with solutions. Scientists have come up with many solutions. We need to actually apply them, which means having congressional representatives that listen to scientists or are scientists. When it comes to mining, I don't actually think we need to mine that much. I think we can have really reasonable standards as to how much we actually need, and we can have the environmentalists look into it, and we can have them say, no, this is going to harm our environment, and we can have compromise with exactly how much lithium we really need. Because I'm willing to bet we're willing to look for alternatives when we recognize that we don't actually need it that much.
Thank you.
We
very
certainly
much.
don't need oil.
We've got a couple here. Go ahead, John.
So, as we were gathering here today, the United States and the United Kingdom just launched joint strikes against Houthi-controlled areas in Yemen. And then, as you guys were answering, Biden just spoke, and he said these were in direct response to unprecedented Houthi attacks against international maritime vessels in the Red Sea. Do you see yourself as having any role in guiding American foreign policy in Congress? And if so, what would you like to see us be doing in times like this?
And we're going to let you take that one first, Adam.
Can I not? Can I go second? No, I got,
I put you on the spot.
no, I need to process some classified information, and
Of
I don't
course.
want to say anything stupid. That's why.
Sure, I'll go.
We'll go first then, and then we'll come back to you. No worries.
You know, I think we've got to protect America, regardless. I know, again, you know, I'm not trying to be just blue, I'm trying to be red too, you know, purple, because I think, you know, the situation that we have in the south border is a concern. You know, I don't have any basis for what I'm going to say, but I do think that we're going to have some people coming through the border that are not going to be good people. I think that's just going to lead itself to people then having issues with leaving the border so open. That going back to what you're talking about, you know, again, I think if we're being shot at by the Houthis, you know, we've got to strike back. But we've got to be very careful about that because, you know, the same situation is happening, I think, with Israel. You know, now, you know, Israel was attacked, right? And now Israel is the one that looks bad. I think the same situation is going to happen with America. You know, if we go after somebody and we're heavy-handed about it, we're going to start looking like we're the ones that are being the bad people. And so we've got to be careful about that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Adam, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right.
When you have like the Armed Services Committee and things like that, and you're putting forward weapon systems, we have weapon systems there that could have solved this years ago if we'd ignored the problem. And when we have those types of situations where we're either distracted or too afraid to cut things out that need to be cut out, it leads to these problems. When we're dealing with terrorist organizations, we take them out. That's my answer.
And here's my turn.
Thank you very much, Adam. It is your turn, River. Go ahead.
All right, empathy needs to lead, a willingness to learn needs to lead, and research needs to lead. As this is a current event that I've just heard about, as you mentioned that it just happens, this is something I genuinely would need to look into. I need to know about what's going on before I can make a strong stance on it, to be honest. And I would hope that all of our congressional representatives, I would hope that everyone in politics is willing to have the ability to learn and quickly research what's going on. Yeah.
Thank you very much, River. And go ahead, sir.
Republicans blindly support Trump. Democratic leaders blindly support Biden. In the election, there's a good chance that Biden will lose to Trump, and then America will be in a catastrophe. Do you think that Biden should step aside and let someone else confront the Republican?
And we're going to let you take that one.
Excellent.
I'm going to go for it.
Well, I understand where you're coming from, and I think that's a great question. I actually think, you know, if we could just get what we wish for, I would say that Kamala Harris would be a great representative. I think if she could, you know, basically stand in for Biden, I think we'd be great. I do want to go back a little bit and just kind of say something about the Houthis and all that. And I know I'm gonna just probably say too much, but you know, I think we are in a situation where we are up against not just the Houthis, we're up against China, we're up against Russia. I think you know, we as a democratic society are being challenged on all fronts, and so you know, again with Trump, I think he's a Russian operative. I think he has basically, you know, done whatever he's done to compromise himself with Russia. And I think he is being supported by people that want to see democracy fail. And I think that's what we are being challenged with worldwide.
Thank you very much. Adam, what are your thoughts on Biden's current election?
So, no, I don't think President Biden should step down because I think it would lead to an absolute catastrophe for the Dems to try to get somebody up and to even compete against Trump right now. I think we need to step up. I think we need to step up in our communities, and when we see or hear hateful speech and talk from these MAGA folks, we step in and we say, that's not allowed here. And I've done it in my old office. We had people that were showing up wearing masks, and people, oh, you're afraid of everything because you're wearing a mask. No, you have no idea what that person is going through. You don't talk to people like that. And they never said it again. If we stand up and we're assertive with people, they will listen. But we have to stand up. We can't expect somebody else to stand down.
Thank you very much, Adam. River?
I say it is January of the literal election year. No one else has a better chance of beating Trump than Biden. So I will throw my support behind Biden. Do I full-heartedly agree with everything he's done? No, but I don't full-heartedly agree with anyone really, except for myself.
And then there's question.
The fact of the matter is, Biden is the best chance we have to beat Trump, so I will throw my support behind Biden.
Thank you very much, River. Stop it. There we go. Go ahead, Stephanie.
So the 5th Congressional District of Colorado has the highest unemployment rate in the state at 7%. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, I didn't make it up, y'all. Okay? So this is well above our national average. So what are your views on some federal solutions for unemployment, such as maybe expansionary monetary fiscal policies, some like Biden and the Harris administration did, and how you work with federal government agencies to create more jobs and opportunities?
River, why don't you go first this
Oh, I
time?
get to go first now. Well, during the Biden administration, employment has gotten down to less than 4%, and I think that's, you know, something worth cheering for, actually. And as far as lowering unemployment here in El Paso County, it's going to honestly give immigrants work visas. I mean, that's why they're coming over here, is to work. Does that answer your question? There was more to it, I believe, but
It was just what federal solutions for employment would you have, and what stakeholders, and who would you work with? So it's either or, however, whatever you feel like you can answer.
let people work is honestly how I'm going to phrase that. Give everyone the resources to better their lives, and give everyone the ability to give us a chance.
Thank you very much, River. I will let you go second this time.
So the administrations have passed microchip acts, things that are trying to bring manufacturing back to here. That's what we need. We need to bring manufacturing back to here. If we want to be the space mecca that we're trying to be, we can't be buying our microchips from China. We need to have that technology here so that when somebody like me blows it up, we can easily replace it, fix it a little bit faster. But bringing in those manufacturing jobs, we're working with our organized unions to strengthen our workforce and start building those skilled trade laborers that come along with mass influx of population. That's where we need to spend our time and efforts on, is building those organized laborers, getting those new manufactured buildings into District 5 here.
Thank you very much, Adam. And that just leaves you, Orlando.
1 minute, huh?
1 minute.
That's not
Got
enough.
your time.
I'll just count out loud.
I could talk about this, well, for a very long time. Janet, my wife, works for Pikes Peak Community College. And so, you know, we could talk about just getting people educated, getting people set up so that they have a path to a position. There's a lot of companies that you can work with, that you can start getting them educated and having them already trained with certification, whatever, so that they can get into positions knowing that they're going to be able to have a job at the end of that. I have worked at Pikes Peak Community College. I worked with Microchip. The reason Microchip is basically expanding is because of China and because of their threat to Taiwan. And so America has basically said, we want to be sure that if China invades Taiwan, that the microchips are able to continue to provide.
Thank
So
you very
1
much.
minute, that was, okay.
So we only got 10 minutes left.
I think we can summarize a lot of that with
Yes.
increased funding for research too.
There you go.
Yeah. All right,
Yes.
well,
And
other questions.
We are going to do one more question, and then I will have one final one before we wrap up. We do only have 10 minutes, and I'm sorry to all of you that have your hands up. I told him he could. What you got?
Give me your perspective of the national debt. It's a record condition now, and it's only going to get worse unless something else happens. What's your perspective on solving the national debt crisis?
Thank you very much. I will let River take this one first.
Smarter use of how we use our money. And in all honesty, lower income communities too know the value of a dollar. And if you've ever looked into Keynesian economics, that's really how we need to move forward with this economy as well. I know, so for those of you who don't know, Keynesian economics is the idea that you give people who are spending their entire paychecks more resources to be able to spend the money they have. Because when you give funding to, let's say the opposite, trickle-down economics, that's not going to grow our economy because that's only going to grow the savings account of the wealthier 1%.
Thank you very much, River. Now I'll let you take this one.
I would say tax the rich.
Yeah.
So, you know, what?
So good.
Well, you know, I think, you know, my thing is always, you know, people that are rich, ultra rich, whatever, you know, try that in China, try that in Russia. You can't do it there. It can't be done, period. You know, the reason that people are so rich and get so rich here is because America is set up that way. We're set up and in such a way that people can get rich. And I think that if you were to say, okay, if you're going to get that rich, then you need to give it back to America. You know, it's we the people, right? It's we the people. We're supposed to be working together. And so, you know, in order to address the debt, in order to address those things, you know, you've got to start there. I think, you know, this is not going to be popular either, but, you know, you've got to look at what you're spending money on. We spend so much money on the military. Sorry. Yeah. So, yeah, you know, that's what I would look at.
Thank you very much. And
So with our national debt, we have to also understand that we make interest on that money, or we get that money back. So like as that debt grows and that, like, the stuff that we pay for, we get a return on investment there that helps us keep funding things. Looking back at where that debt came from, though, that didn't exist before President Reagan, right? And they took that, they took the bill for our great society and handed it to the lower class. So in order to fix that, we need to raise, anybody making over 500,000, that tax bracket needs to go up to at least 45. Like, it's at 37 right now. It's ridiculous that it's not at 45 for anybody making over 500,000. Getting those money back into us will help start balancing a budget, and maybe even a surplus budget, like after Clinton left for the last 2 years that he was in there, you know, when we had a balanced budget. But we can't do that until we start taxing the ultra rich, and not even the ultra rich, anything over 500,000. You know, they need to be taxed more. That's just the bottom line.
thank you very much. And our last question for the night, I'm going to let you start again, Adam. As most of us are, I'm sorry, we're running out of time, guys. As most of you are aware, 50% of our population is either a veteran, active service, or lives in the same household as one of the two. So to this population in our community, it's very important to know, what would you do for our current veteran population and their corresponding families? And Adam, you're going to go ahead and take first.
Stop funding systems that don't work and start funding the people that make them work. We've cut so many people out where now, you know, as a person that sets up SATCOM links, I have to do 6 other jobs just to get other people there to help me do that, right? We've stripped the people away from so much, and we try to push for innovation, but you can't, like, a piece of equipment can't innovate. A person can innovate. I can make this do things that nobody else can do, right? But all we have is this. We don't have the people to work for this. So we need to fund people. We need to train people. That is how we take care of it. When Trump built his wall and he took away that $10 million or $10 billion from the force, that affected me. I couldn't send people to training. So they stopped building facilities that hurt our national security. They won't let me send people to training. It's unacceptable. Like, we have to take care of the people first. That is how we build our societies, by taking care of the people, training them, and making sure that they're valued.
Thank you very much, Adam. Orlando?
So veterans, right? Janet is a veteran. My father fought in the Vietnam War. I feel like I've been, you know, part of the military just by association. I think, you know, what we've got to be able to do is, again, have people that can support veterans, and we've got to have the institutions there to do it. I think, you know, when we were talking about being able to grow people to work, you know, we've got to be able to have those positions where people can be in those positions to support veterans. I think whether you're red or you're blue, you know, you're going to want to support veterans. I don't think you're going to find a Republican that's going to say, nope, I don't support veterans. And
Say it.
They say a lot of stuff, but they never support veterans.
well, you know,
Saying it and doing it are two.
exactly.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
so-
All right.
And our last answer for today. Go ahead,
All
River.
right, the Democratic Party is the party of empathy, and 99% of us are not veterans. However, we cannot just put the burden of taking care of veterans on solely veterans. The portion of us that are not veterans need to step up and lead by example and say, hey, we also care about veterans. We need to expand funding and research into PTSD. We need to expand funding and research into community care and what the VA needs. We need to give them all the resources they need. We need to stop limiting what they can do and how they can treat their patients, and we need to expand access to things such as VR research for PTSD, psychocobin research for PTSD, and cannabis research. And really just put money into research. I don't know how better to stress that.
It's a great tagline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fund research.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, River. And I know you all have a lot of questions. Do not worry. We will have more town halls. There will be a debate. You will have the opportunity to get your questions in, but I'm sorry, unfortunately, today we are out of time. Thank you all for coming, though. We will look forward to seeing you soon, and you will see plenty more of all of our candidates. Can we give them a big round of applause, please? Thank you very much.
Great job, Christian.
You guys all.
Great job. Yeah.
And not to sell us or anything, but all 3 of us are a grassroots funded campaign.
Donate to someone
Donate
who
to
liked
us, please.
today. If you liked them, give them money. If you haven't, or volunteer.
PAC funded, that's very middle of the road. There's a candidate, that's a Reagan, just. I'm no longer the Democratic Party.
Thank you so much for